I just received a phone call from my mother. I was hit by a speeding car and shattered into pieces. Before I died, her words were still echoing in my ears. I want to bring a girlfriend back for the Chinese New Year. But no one expected this. After death, I unexpectedly fulfilled her wish. I thought I had died just like that. But suddenly I heard someone calling my name. I struggled to open my eyes. It turned out that the owner of the voice was a very attractive young lady. At this moment, I actually find myself on a rubber raft. But I haven't figured out the situation yet. A giant bat swooped towards me head-on. Luckily, the girl had quick eyes and hands. Otherwise, I would have died again. Huh? Strange. Why did I say, again? The woman saw my confused expression and told me, "This is the abyss. Only the chosen dead can come here. If I want to survive, I have to listen to her." But she hasn't finished speaking yet. A large group of giant bats is rushing towards us from not far away. I saw her jump into the water without hesitation. I followed and jumped in too. I don't know how long it had been. The two of us were carried by the current to a place covered with vines. She seemed to have been here before. She told me to keep quiet. And she continued to quietly order me in my ear. Go through these vines and find the gate of the Nether Palace. I couldn't help but mutter to myself when I heard Nether Palace. I always feel that this woman has ill intentions. So I kept my guard up. I tried to avoid the vines as much as possible. But these vines still moved. Inside were actually a few trembling female ghosts. Maybe they haven't eaten for a long time. Even though I was completely unaware, they still didn't catch me. However, I noticed something unusual behind me. I suddenly turned around, only to find that the once lush vines were scattered on the ground. Several dark figures were approaching us from the water. Just as I was about to start cursing, the girl covered my mouth. She told me not to breathe. Originally, I thought she was being nervous and was about to resist. The next second, several female ghosts appeared in front of my eyes. I froze in place, not daring to move. The girl whispered to me that these ghosts cannot see, they can only sense the living through their breath. They have just woken up. We still have a chance to quietly pass by from the side. After speaking, she quietly submerged into the water and moved towards the light. But I didn't expect that she was not good at holding her breath at all. I only saw her panting in embarrassment. All of a sudden, it attracted all the female ghosts. Just as she stood there with her legs spread waiting to die. Suddenly a heavy stone smashed onto the ghost's claw. But I didn't expect the stone to shatter into pieces. The female ghost, however, remained unscathed. I regretted it now. If I had known, I should have abandoned her and run away on my own. In this critical moment, countless vines surged from the water and dragged all the female ghosts away. But before we could catch our breath, the door behind us opened. At this moment, I still didn't know. The girl I risked my life to save was actually plotting a wicked plan. I was run over by a car and got married to a daughter-in-law. But I didn't expect that the daughter-in-law turned out to be the princess of the Netherworld. I thought this was caused by my mother's wish. It turned out that this girl orchestrated the whole thing. At this moment, she told me that I was the Abyss minion she had redeemed with points. My life is to be used to protect her safety. If she dies, as a minion, I will also perish. But I didn't expect it. She actually secretly arranged a marriage for me. However, at that moment I was completely unaware. Like this, we followed the maid to the lakeside. She signaled for us to board the boat. Suddenly, someone else exclaimed, "Look! The crazy woman is coming!" I looked in the direction of the sound and unexpectedly saw several people sitting on a small boat. One of them pointed at the girl and started cursing loudly. He said she was a venomous woman who almost killed them all. Sure enough, this slender and weak woman is not easy to deal with. She suddenly took hold of my arm, as if she had seen through my lack of trust in her. Seeing this, I pretended to look indecisive and stood aside listening to them arguing endlessly. From their argument, I learned that only by reaching the palace ahead could one survive. Just then, a sudden bell rang. The zombie-like boatman started to move. The thick fog in the distance instantly cleared. The girl stopped entangling with them, and pulled me towards the boat. But I broke free from her control, and stood still. She understood that I was about to betray her, so she urged me with a sincere tone. "If you follow those rookies, you will definitely die without a doubt. You will regret choosing them. However, I have made up my mind to move forward with this group of strangers." Little did I know that this decision would end up ruining me. Just as the small boat was rowing towards the center of the lake, the space of Nether Palace suddenly tore open. Countless red dots flew towards us. Everyone on the ship panicked when they saw this scene. Although the mission has started, they did not receive any notifications on their phones. It turns out it was in the abyss. The phone can receive mission notifications. If there are no notifications, it is impossible to complete the mission. It inevitably surprised me. Such important news. The girl didn't tell me. But now thinking about it is useless. I carefully examined the things flying towards me. It turned out to be countless sky lanterns. Words were written all over the lanterns. However, without any clues, we were at a loss on how to proceed. Just when we were getting anxious and breaking out in a sweat, the girl suddenly shouted at me. She started to teach me step by step how to solve the puzzle. Although everyone did not believe that the wicked woman would do good deeds. But everyone could not think of a better solution. So everyone had to bite the bullet and start solving the mystery. But no one expected that there was actually someone in the team who hadn't graduated from elementary school. He just tore off the piece of paper. He was tied up like a zonzi by countless vines. In the end, he was twisted into a spiral shape, dragged into the lake. The sight of this dragon terrified the weak chickens, causing them to collapse on the ground. Seeing this scene, the girl said to me in a mocking tone, "You need to hurry up, or else you will all die with no place to be buried." Accompanied by her laughter, countless vines surged out of the water. Just because I solved the riddle well. The she-ghost is about to have a baby with me. She said as long as I have 10 children with her, she will ensure that I leave alive. Not even a dog would believe that. But my weak chicken teammates believed it. The next moment, the female ghost said she wanted to see if they were sincere or not. Then the female ghost swiftly took out the hearts of the 3 of them. She saw the 3 withered hearts. The female ghost was immediately furious. She hated those who watched videos, but didn't subscribe the most. Seeing that I angered the female ghost, I also can't escape death. I used all my strength to stab towards the female ghost. In the end, I stabbed into emptiness. The female ghost saw that I was not obedient. She twisted my arm into a pretzel. As a warning. The piercing pain in an instant made me regret not listening beforehand. It's all my fault for trusting that wicked woman. Turns out, she helped me on the lake before solely to make me drop my guard completely. Thus, she made me believe. The key to clearing the level is to solve the final 6 light puzzles. But the result is the one who successfully solved the puzzles. He will then qualify to marry the female ghost. While she took advantage of me being busy solving puzzles, she quietly completed the task all by herself. At this moment, she has already returned to the safe house. She is admiring how I am battling the hidden boss from a god's perspective. The female ghost is looking at me smugly. I saw her approaching, getting ready to kiss me forcefully. I would rather die than submit. I grabbed her white hair firmly. I only heard a dull thud. Although I bumped the female ghost around, I passed out myself. Surprisingly, the female ghost did not continue to harm me. Instead, she threw me into the void all of a sudden. But the next moment, it seemed like she regretted it. She swung out a vine and gently wrapped me up. I was slowly set into the void until I was safe, only then did she let go. But I was completely unaware of all this. 2.5 minutes later, I returned to my own body. Maybe I was dead for too long. My body wouldn't obey me. but my consciousness was very clear. I heard people around me discussing. My death was miserable. Just as they were feeling sorry for me, I suddenly sat up. This scared everyone to the point where they all wanted to hide in a safe room. Even someone who has been a forensic pathologist for 2.5 years has never seen such a scene. But he still mustered the courage to step forward and inspect. He was surprised to discover that all the injuries on my body were gone. And with that, my life returned to normalcy. But what happened that night remains fresh in my memory. Even if I try to convince myself it was just a dream. But I can't explain why I was able to survive after being hit by a car. At this moment, my stomach growled embarrassingly. So I decided to fill my stomach before doing anything else. Immediately, I ordered a bowl of snail noodles and an extra durian. However, with one bite, my world unexpectedly collapsed. I, a man, ended up vomiting due to pregnancy, yet I didn't even care. I feel like I was hit by a car. That's why I feel unwell. But I can't believe it. What the female ghost said last night is all true. The responsibility of having 10 children has fallen on my shoulders. However, I do not know that my body is creating new life. To relieve the dual pressure on my mind and body, I bought myself an iPhone 14. I was about to play Clash of Clans when my mom called me. She asked me what happened last night. I was afraid she would worry, so I just said my phone ran out of battery. But before I could finish, I heard a hurried knocking on the door. Although I felt puzzled because I didn't order takeout myself. But I still chose to open the door. The next second, I was stunned. The evil woman was actually standing outside the door. Seeing that it was her, I didn't waste any words and immediately closed the door. However, the evil woman is not to be trifled with. She forcefully broke into my house. She sat on the sofa with a scornful tone, beginning to sarcastically complain about me. She was stuck at the beginner level for 2.5 years just because I completed the hidden mission. As a result, she gained a lot of points. In an instant, she qualified as a B-level player. So next time, the Abyss will see a sharp increase in difficulty. From now on, as her servant, I must be with her in 24/7 personal assistant mode. But I can refuse outright after listening. I don't want to live with someone who could potentially ruin my life at any time. The wicked woman had already guessed my thoughts. With a snap, she threw a big gift in front of me. This turned out to be a thick stack of the Abyss level records. I broke out in a cold sweat after seeing it. I can't believe the thin and weak woman in front of me. How did she make it through so many abysses? She perked up when she saw me. The wicked woman didn't give me a chance to argue back. She directly ordered me to move her stuff in, and also made sure to remind me. If she doesn't have a scapegoat, don't blame her for any accidents that happen in the abyss. Then she pats her stomach to indicate that she is hungry. She immediately asks me to take her to eat delicious food. I wanted to show off my financial power. In the future, I can hug her big white legs. The girl ended up choosing a restaurant that has 3 Michelin stars. She also ordered a table of delicacies from land and sea. She saw my panicked expression and could tell I wanted to run away. The wicked woman sneered at me and told me to unleash and eat freely. Maybe tomorrow I won't even be alive to eat. Because the next one, the abyss, has already been determined. After the man got pregnant, he was stuck in a tree for 2.5 days during his first parachute jump. Besides his third leg feeling a little numb, he felt relatively okay. I have wanted to go down for a long time. But I witnessed Brother Dao fighting 2 velociraptors. He was ambushed by the creeper velociraptor and killed on the spot. I immediately gave up the idea of going down. But at this moment, the creeper velociraptor discovered me. He seemed to know that I hadn't subscribed. Surely no one would come to rescue me. Then he stood guard over me until now. It wasn't until a 2.5-meter python appeared that the deadlock was broken. At the same time, I was tightly entangled by the python and lost consciousness in an instant. In the deep night, fresh blood flowed into my mouth. I suddenly woke up. Damn, I'm alive. But I've lost feeling all over my body. At that moment, the python sensed that I was awake. It tightened its thick body around me with force. The powerful pressure made it impossible for me to breathe. And yet, I was unaware of all this. It was because of the female ghost inside the python's belly fighting desperately that I was able to hold on until now. In this critical moment, I seized the opportunity to ignite the vines. As the fire spread, the python, in pain, let go of me and fled. I had just escaped from the snake's mouth. I immediately got up to search for the assembly point. I should have gone to the bonfire for assembly. But I wasted 2 days. I missed the meeting perfectly. Just as I was at a loss, I suddenly felt my arm itching. I rolled up my sleeve to check. The sight in front of me shocked me to the core. My arm had turned as dry as tinder. There was also a wound above with a deep cut that exposed the bone. The wound was covered with black hair. However, I didn't feel any pain. I thought I was poisoned. I picked up a knife and was about to scrape the bone to treat the injury. But then, I noticed that there was something wrong with my left hand too. I panicked immediately. I lifted my clothes to check my whole body. Sure enough, my stomach had also turned into dry wood. I hurriedly loosened my belt upon seeing this. As a result, my third leg was not spared either. I didn't dare to delay for a second. I wielded the sharp blade and stabbed it towards my arm, only to hear a bang. The tactical knife instantly rolled up the blade. This shocked me so much that I started swearing. I quickly tried to use the knife to shave off some kindling. However, 2.5 minutes later, even if the knife was worn out, it couldn't hurt me at all. The next second, I smelled the scent of grass on the knife. This is the unique scent on the princess of the netherworld. I couldn't help but feel shocked. It turns out my situation is the same as what that netizen said. The princess is really inside my belly. This man is prepared to perform a self-delivery. But as he makes the incision, the blade shattered into pieces, unable to form a single incision. At this moment, the man regrets his impulsive actions. It's all because I accidentally entered the netherworld, and I solved the riddle that sealed the princess. When she was resurrected, she didn't want to marry me. Instead, she planted a seed inside me. She wants to descend to the mortal world through my belly. But I am completely unaware. And I also believe the words of my online friend, thinking that I have been bewitched. I will soon turn into a walking corpse. At this moment, I remember the words spoken by the wicked woman. The events that happen in the abyss will be brought into reality. Thinking about this, my imagination runs wild. Fantasizing about turning into a giant, and what would happen, like turning those who don't subscribe to my channel into zombies. Just when I was getting excited about it, suddenly, a warm liquid drops on my body. I suddenly turned around and found it was actually a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Without waiting for its reaction, I ran as fast as I could. Seeing this, it opened its huge mouth and lunged towards me. Fortunately, I was in a dense jungle. Otherwise, it would have caught up to me and torn me into pieces. At this critical moment, I accidentally tripped and fell. I fell heavily on the ground. Instantly, I felt chills. But the next second, the Tyrannosaurus Rex stood 2.5 meters away from me, not daring to approach. It stared at me with eyes that seemed to see a dead person, as if saying, "How dare someone who hasn't subscribed to my channel come here?" With that, it turned and left, leaving me alone, full of confusion. Just as I calmed down, I felt a huge skeleton. At that moment, I noticed various remains scattered around me. I couldn't help but feel shocked. There was definitely something wrong with this grassland. In my dilemma, I suddenly remembered that in the abyss, the phone could show hints. As soon as I looked at the hint on my phone, I was stunned in place. I actually skipped the first level and completed the second level directly. Little did I know that the wicked woman who participated in the abyss with me encountered a crisis right at the beginning. No one knew that the woman was a venomous snake. Everyone who has seen her true face has died. She is capable of doing anything to survive. However, at this moment, she has completely changed from her previous fierceness. She is as submissive as a lamb. Even when Brother Kun asked her to hand over her phone, she did so without any hesitation. But Brother Kun's actions angered the doctor. Because only phones can receive task prompts in the abyss. If you give the phone to Brother Kun, it means handing your life over to him. With those words, he took the opportunity to stab Brother Kun, but underestimated his strength. In an instant, Brother Kun dodged the attack and then swiftly thrust the knife into the doctor's throat. Witnessing the doctor's tragic death, his teammates cried out in distress and stopped resisting. One by one, they threw their phones into the fire. Brother Kun was so ruthless for the sole purpose of surviving and leaving the abyss alive. Only by clearing the abyss every week can they return to the mortal world and continue to survive. She looked at the creature in front of her, a fellow of her kind. The evil woman began to worry about her own situation. She knew well that if Brother Kun found out she had not subscribed to my channel, she would be in danger of being betrayed by the man at any time. Fortunately, the red-haired girl was also alone. They then decided to team up temporarily. 2 minutes later, they arrived at a dangerous swamp. Smoke Man gave a signal to Brother Kun with his eyes. Brother Kun started to signal to everyone upon seeing the situation. He proposed on the surface. Everyone will be chosen to stand at the front of the line through drawing lots. In reality, he actually wanted to get rid of his thorn in the eye behind the scenes. However, his thoughts had long been seen through by the wicked woman. The wicked woman thought that acting low-key would bring her good luck. As a result, she ended up with the shortest straw. Therefore, she will stand at the front of the line. She is also about to become the first person to receive a box meal. It was only then that she realized. In the eyes of Smoke Man, she, who seemed inconspicuous, became the most worthless person. But Smoke Man didn't know. He had offended the worst person he could have. The wicked woman who spent 2.5 years in the abyss is definitely not someone to be trifled with. She has faced similar challenges before. She skillfully began to navigate by throwing stones to ask for directions. She can discern danger through subtle differences. However, Brother Kun following behind her was completely confused. He started using foul language to urge the wicked woman to walk in a straight line. But he did not realize that this touched the woman's bottom line. An 80-year-old young girl is forced to cross the swamp. Dark currents surge in the black lake water. Any misstep could lead to her death. However, the scum following behind her keep urging her on. Some even threaten that if she doesn't hurry, they will kill her. The girl was determined to take these bad people to hell after hearing these words. She deliberately took a long detour, leading them to the monster's lair. The next second, the giant beast leaped out of the water towards the crowd. Unfortunately, it was dodged by Brother Kun's quick flash, but those following behind Brother Kun were not so lucky. The muddy water instantly turned a bloody red. Terrified, they dared not move. Seeing everyone preoccupied, the villainess turned and fled. Just as she was about to reach the shore, suddenly, a dagger sliced through the night sky. Deeply embedded in her back, it turned out to be thrown by Brother Kun. Seeing the woman run ashore, he had no choice but to give up as well. The exhausted woman collapsed on the ground. Even if she wanted to pull out the dagger, the tricky angle made it impossible for her to touch it at all. Infuriated, she started cursing me, this servant. It would have been so much better if I were by her side right now. It turns out that the wicked woman died a long time ago. She has participated in over 200 rounds of the abyss in order to survive. But this is her first time participating in the advanced level of the abyss, and she was heavily injured just as the game started. Even her phone, which she uses to gather information, was confiscated by Brother Kun. At this moment, she only just noticed that the scent of blood on her was attracting a group of dinosaurs. Seeing the injured prey, the dinosaurs were unwilling to leave. The woman had to ignite the surrounding plants. Although the dinosaurs scattered in fear of the fire, she still did not dare to stop and rest, afraid that Brother Kun would follow the blood trail and catch up with her. Immediately, she decided to head upwards. Before long, she arrived at the mountaintop. She had thought that I would build a bonfire to drive away the monsters at night. However, she did not expect that I, being timid, would rather endure mosquito bites all night than dare to light a fire. Just as she was approaching despair, a familiar voice came from behind her. She was surprised to find that it was Red Hair. Upon seeing the evil woman, she took the initiative to step forward and help her heal her injuries. This gave the evil woman an ominous premonition. It was my first time camping in the wilderness. I was almost carried away by mosquitoes. Originally, I wanted to light a fire to drive away the mosquitoes. But I carelessly lost the lighter. I deeply regretted it. Just because I didn't subscribe. It was already light out, and I was still killing mosquitoes. I managed to kill so many mosquitoes, but didn't get a drop of blood on my hands. Even though I had doubts. Those skeletons were made by mosquitoes. But the mosquitoes didn't suck my blood all night. It inevitably makes me feel that they are all male mosquitoes. But the scene in front of me always makes me feel something is wrong. Since they don't suck blood, why do they keep staring at me? Just now there were only a few thousand of them. Now they have completely wrapped me up like a zonzi. Now I am sure. They are the threat on the grassland. But I am puzzled. Even those giant beasts cannot resist them. Why am I unscathed? At this moment, I finally noticed. It's not that they don't want to suck blood, but their needles are all broken. They cannot penetrate my skin. I suddenly realized. This must be related to me turning into dry wood last night. But anyway, the mutation of my body made me tough. Otherwise, when I fled here, it would have been sucked dry by this big bunch of mosquitoes. But the change in my body can't help but worry me. I feel like my symptoms are just like what the netizen said. There's something strange in my stomach. It protects me so that it can take over in the future. Thinking about this makes me feel uneasy. I need to set off right away. In case the sudden changes in my body disappear, I will be sucked dry in an instant. Therefore, I quicken my pace. Little did I know that every move of mine was being discovered by this man. He can actually control owls for reconnaissance. But his owl could not escape the clutches of the mosquito swarm. With the interruption of the mental connection, Xingshu Daoist master becomes unusually haggard. See the situation. Little Gagas beside him eagerly asked what had happened. However, what Xingshu said next shattered their worldviews. He said he saw me passing through the grassland alone. It turns out they are also contestants in this season of the Abyss. As seasoned players of the Abyss, they had long cleared the swamp. But at this moment, they were unexpectedly blocked by mosquitoes. Little Gagas finds the words spoken by Taoist Master Xingshu to be unimaginable. They have never seen a lone wolf who can survive for 2.5 minutes in the advanced level of the Abyss. However, Xingshu Daoist Master does not think so, because he smelled the scent of evolver from me. This is a strange world. People can actually come back to life after death. But the resurrected person will enter the Abyss every week. I used to think that the Abyss was just a place for harvesting souls. However, this Taoist master has his unique perspectives. He believes that the existence of the Abyss is meant to filter out the strong. Because he is a living example. After going through the Abyss countless times, he gained the ability to control animals thousands of miles away. This ability can not only help him pass through the Abyss, but also be used in the real world. Upon hearing this, his 2 disciples were extremely excited. They felt that one day, they would also obtain a special power. Upon hearing the disciples praising him, Xingshu Daoist Master was secretly pleased. He then told them a secret. Based on the intelligence he had, special powers can be roughly divided into 3 categories. One of them is beastification, which, as the name suggests, means transforming into a half-beast to enhance one's own strength. The second one is the diversity of his spiritual power types. He has encountered people who can fetch things from a distance and read minds. The third is telekinesis. They can resonate with some objects and unleash terrifying power. He has never seen this type of person before, only heard rumors about a woman in long sleeves. She can control any living creature. Xiao Dao's master sighed. At first, he did not want to rely on the power of outsiders to cross the grassland. But he was at a loss because he could not find a way to defeat the mosquito swarm. He could only wait in place for the arrival of the evil woman. At this moment, the evil woman was still completely unaware that she was being monitored by Xiao. Hong Mao discovered the bloodstains left behind by the Tyrannosaurus chasing me. She deduced that I was severely poisoned and had fled to the grassland. Upon hearing this, the evil woman was filled with unbearable hatred. She did not expect that I would not wait for her, and instead kept charging forward. Hong Mao noticed the anxious look between her eyebrows. So he casually asked if there was any danger ahead. The wicked woman instantly realized that she had not managed her expression well. She quickly changed the subject, saying it was because her wound was hurting. At this moment, the injured wicked woman deliberately kept her distance from the red-haired person, because she had already guessed the identity of the red-haired person. Just as they arrived on the island, the red-haired person claimed to be a journalist. She immediately got into a fierce conflict with Brother Kun when she arrived. By right, as a thorn head, she should be arranged to lead the way through the swamp. Instead, she stood in the middle of the team. Even after the evil woman betrayed them, she was able to catch up with the traitor while wearing high heels. She administered first aid to her in the jungle. During the first aid process, the evil woman discovered something. The calluses on her hands were only seen on those who trained in martial arts for years. These signs indicate that she can only be. The girl worked in a nightclub at the age of 12. Today she was as usual. Following the guest to the hotel, the girl had just finished taking a shower. The guest could not wait. But the next second, she unexpectedly kicked the guest's waist. It turns out that this woman is a spy. She is a killer trained by Smoke Man since childhood. Red hair possesses strength far beyond that of ordinary people. Nonetheless, Brother Kun cannot help but worry about her safety. Because at this moment, she is alone with the wicked woman. The red-haired woman is afraid the wicked woman will find out. She left a mark on the road to guide Brother Kun. So, she chatted with the wicked woman all the way, and the wicked woman also feared she would uncover her trump card. She reluctantly chatted with her, although the wicked woman was seriously injured and seemed to be at the end of her road. But she had already handed over her phone earlier. Purchased all levels walkthrough in the abyss using a large number of points. She activated the spoiler mode. She already knew that on the upcoming grassland, there would be a large number of mosquitoes. However, these mosquitoes dared not enter the forest. They were extremely repelled by the smell of this type of fruit. The wicked woman took advantage of the distraction and tightly gripped a fruit in her hand. She was unaware that the threat was silently approaching. They approached Smoke Man nearby and greeted everyone to take a rest. And he began to scold Brother Kun, if it weren't for him reminding Brother Kun to be careful of the evil woman. Brother Kun had already farted in the swamp long ago. Brother Kun is very puzzled. Why be careful with this frail woman? Smoke Man said that when the doctor was killed on the spot, everyone was scared to death. Only the wicked woman remained calm. This made him feel puzzled. In order to verify his guess, he deliberately did it when crossing the swamp. He changed the order of the sticks. As a result, the evil woman ended up with the shortest stick. She still appeared exceptionally calm. At the moment he handed the stick to the evil woman, he noticed that she was staring at him. It was a look as if she were looking at a dead person. In all his years on the road, he hadn't encountered many of those kinds of looks. This is enough to show that the evil woman and him are of the same kind. He wanted to continue speaking, but was interrupted by Brother Kun. Brother Kun was worried about the safety of their second brother. They've been in the abyss for so long. I'm afraid they may not find him. Smoke Man fell silent at the words. He looked at the cigarette butt in his hand. He looked as if he saw the life fire of his brother extinguished. He immediately stepped on the cigarette butt, signaling everyone to catch up with the evil woman. The man felt like he was about to give birth. He finally found a bed. But he only dared to lie under the bed. I tremble all over, not because of the pains of childbirth, but because I encountered a chilling creature. If you can type this character, I will perform the female ghost on the spot. But I haven't finished talking yet. There was a sudden urgent knocking on the door. The iron door couldn't withstand it for even 2.5 minutes before being smashed. Immediately, a sharp-toothed xenomorph burst into the room. It seemed to have poor eyesight and didn't notice me hiding under the bed. But it didn't seem to be leaving. Instead, it let out a series of eerie screams. Startled, I began crawling towards the door. If its kind heard the noise and rushed over, I would be in big trouble. I had been evading the pursuit of the xenomorph for 2.5 hours. From my observation, as long as I moved slowly enough, they couldn't see me. I had just crawled to the door when claws swiped at my head, frightening me enough to recoil. Just as the creature was about to crush me, a mongoose suddenly darted out from the door and was captured by the monster. It scared its companions so that they fled with their heads held low. They thought they would be safe if they ran back. Unexpectedly, the xenomorph's tongue could penetrate through the wall. The mongooses didn't have time to struggle and left peacefully. However, I wasn't as lucky. The xenomorph's saliva happened to drip onto my hand. In an instant, my arm sizzled, emitting the smell of barbecue. The fear brought by pain disturbed the female ghost in my stomach. She actually woke up. At this moment, several xenomorphs came into the house. Just when I was almost desperate, my arm moved uncontrollably. I watched in horror as my hand split open from the middle. I couldn't help but scream at the sight. The xenomorphs rushed towards me, only to be bound up like zonzi by the vines that I sprayed from my hand. This was all the doing of the female ghost in my belly. Yet I was completely unaware of it. The next second, she raised her hand gently. The vines burst through the roof. Then she clenched her fist with all her might. All the xenomorphs turned into blood foam. Instantly, the vines retracted back into my arm. Looking at my arm, restored to its original state, I was completely stunned. Although I still didn't know that the thing in my belly was a female ghost, I could tell she was protecting me. Just then, my hand moved on its own. It began to knock on the wall, trying to get my attention. I thought she wanted to subscribe to my channel. She ended up writing down this character. Others encounter ghosts and get possessed by ghosts. Either they perform ghost marriage or give birth to ghost babies. I am the only one who is different from the others. I directly got pregnant with the female ghost herself. At first, I only believed in technology and hard work. Until just now, she saved me with vines and drew a little heart on the wall. I just believe that the thing in my stomach is the princess of Nether Palace. In an instant, I understood, just relying on my noob-level skills. How could I possibly lead the whole field? It turns out she has been secretly protecting me. I can only survive in the dangerous B-level the abyss because she has been secretly protecting me. Seeing the situation, I hurriedly shouted at my arms, begging the princess to give me another clue. Although this character is written very well, I really don't recognize it. Little did I know, in order to save me, the princess is already exhausted. Just as drowsiness overwhelmed her, the house suddenly began to shake violently. I thought it was an earthquake. However, amidst the rumbling sound, I heard a lot of xenomorphs' strange cries. I immediately realized that the loud noises of the battle had attracted a group of xenomorphs. I can tell by the sounds. They are getting closer and closer to me. It won't be long before I'm in trouble. At this moment, I am trying to calm myself down. All my hopes are pinned on this word. It looks like a combination for a skipping character from that 2 parts. Does it mean for me to move upwards? But then, I thought it could also be a escaping character. Regardless of which character it implies, it's meant for me to leave this building anyway. Upon hearing my analysis, the princess smirked slightly with a hint of satisfaction. Her man has finally come to his senses. When she chose me in the first place, the magical eye on her chest still doesn't hold me in high regard. It thinks that I, who can only guess riddles, are of no use. But I didn't expect to be contradicted so quickly. Even though she currently doesn't have the extra strength to help me. But she believes that I will definitely be able to escape. However, listening to the strange cries outside the house, my mind was blank. I was like a robot, climbing up according to the hints she gave me. But as soon as I climbed to the rooftop, I was stunned by the sight before my eyes. I saw thousands of xenomorphs charging towards me. A female assassin with 2.5 years of experience in the industry. She was actually bitten to death by a mosquito. She intended to find an opportunity to deal with the girl. She ended up realizing that she was the prey. Just 2.5 hours ago, Hong Mao had just set foot on the grassland. She heard a strange buzzing sound. However, the sight in the sky stunned her. Only to see swarms of mosquitoes were circling above her head. But strangely, the mosquitoes dared not approach her. She found it strange and decided to speak up to ask the villainess. The villainess carefully looked at Red Hair after hearing this. Urge her to pass through here quickly. But this is not what Red Hair wants to hear. She tightly grabbed the villainess's hand in an attempt to delay time. The villainess grew up in the abyss. She understood that Red Hair did not intend to move forward anymore. And she didn't want to give up on Red Hair yet. She tried persuading her one last time to go with her. As a result, Red Hair grabbed onto her with even greater force. Red Hair also questioned her about how to disperse the mosquitoes. Upon hearing this, the evil woman became murderous. She retorted and asked Red Hair if her companions were still behind. Red Hair, upon hearing this, pretended to remain calm and indicated that she didn't understand what the woman was talking about. The evil woman, seeing that she remained unfazed, decided to reveal the truth about her fake identity. At the same time, the evil woman broke free from her restraints and continued speaking. Those two big brothers are her accomplices. Since everyone is of the same kind, she must know that killing can earn the abyss points. Even if Hong Mao's companion is very strong, they cannot obtain extra points to get walkthrough tips. But she bought all the level hints at the beginning of the game. Hearing this, Hong Mao became alert and took a step back. Seeing Hong Mao's interesting reaction, the villainess planned to make her die in ignorance. She asked Hong Mao to guess how many people she had killed. Hong Mao seemed to not believe her, and stared at her with disdain. But his body still honestly reached for the dagger, although the wicked woman noticed her little movement. She still activated the memory mode. She told Red Haired about her first time entering the abyss, where she was gang-raped by a group of scum. That time, she exhausted all means to drive away all the participants. Since then, she embarked on a path of corpses and bloodshed. But before she could finish speaking, she was interrupted by Red Hair. She asked the wicked woman why she told her all this. The wicked woman muttered that she had no friends, and could only confide in the dead. With that, she threw the fruit in her hand behind her. Red Hair didn't even have time to draw his knife, before he was devoured by the swarm of mosquitoes. The wicked woman picked up the fruit and left without looking back. But she had just arrived at the research institute. She was stunned by the scene before her. Countless xenomorphs are heading somewhere. The man just touched a thin thread. A trap fell from the sky. The whole village was waiting to celebrate. Unexpectedly, he managed to dodge it. Just when he was puzzled, Smoke Man quickly called on everyone to take cover. But before he could finish his sentence, a wave of arrows poured down. The foreman who had subscribed to my channel long ago had no issues at all. But the younger brother who watched the videos without subscribing wasn't as lucky. With the cessation of the rain of arrows, both sides dared not move recklessly, resulting in a stalemate. Brother Kun is also a fierce figure who dances at the abyss. He immediately realized that the other party was aiming to score points by killing. But he had no idea how dangerous this ambush was. Taoist Master Xingqiu has long possessed the special ability to control animals through his own means. He discovered the mark left by Red Hair for Brother Kun, so he decided to play along. Faking traces on the ground, he led Brother Kun and his group into a trap. The original plan was to send them on a one-way ticket to the underworld, but it was thwarted by the vigilant Brother Kun. Although Daoist Master Xingqiu wanted to intervene in the battle, but constantly controlling animals made him look unusually haggard. He could only rely on his teammates next. The team leader was very cautious. He ordered his teammates to stay vigilant. However, the girl completely ignored advice. She dared to act recklessly in broad daylight. She showed off how accurate her shots were at her little darling. She didn't look good for more than 3 seconds. There was suddenly a knife in her head. Seeing this, her boyfriend became anxious. He stuck out his head and shouted that he would avenge the woman. Obviously, his IQ was lower than a husky. As expected, a knife appeared on his forehead as well. And that's how Daoist Master Xingqiu's good start was ruined by his own lousy teammate. However, the dense jungle caused Brother Kun to lose track of the uncle's location. With traps scattered all around, he dared not make any reckless moves. At this moment, the injured foreman activated his own memory mode. But Brother Kun didn't want to listen at all. He disdainfully hid in the nearby bushes, which made the foreman mistakenly think that Brother Kun didn't want him anymore. He anxiously chased after him and asked, "What are you up to?" Brother Kun was afraid that he had exposed his own position and quickly told him to shut up, saying that his big brother Smoke Man would handle it. At the same time, a werewolf who had finished smoking appeared. No wonder Smoke Man was even more ruthless than Brother Kun. It turned out he was a half-beast. It's really the abyss, big stage. If you're lucky, you'll make it. The big gray wolf fixed its gaze on the stake in front of it. Just as he bared his fangs and was about to bite into it, he discovered that the stake was filled with technology. He lightly touched the stake, and it fell apart. Just then, he caught the scent of other people. The cunning big gray wolf abandoned the stake and swiftly disappeared into the jungle. As a senior hunter on the grand stage of the abyss, he always disguises himself as prey in his daily life. Apart from Brother Kun, no one knows that Smoke Man can transform into a werewolf, because everyone who has seen his true face is dead. At this moment, he used his keen sense of smell to track down the followers of Xingqiu Daoist Master. And they are completely unaware, still setting traps and chatting on the side. In their eyes, Brother Kun will die in the trap, because the Daoist Master told him. Brother Kun is following a clue. He even mentioned that fruits can drive away mosquitoes. After listening to so much useful information, Smoke Man decided to send them on their way. In an instant, a little Gagos hung himself from a southeast branch. His companion didn't even notice, waiting foolishly in the same spot. In the end, he waited for the claws of Smoke Man to arrive. He was completely pinned to the tree. Couldn't get loose at all. The intense fight startled the birds in the forest. At the same time, it also interrupted Xingqiu's animal manipulation. His consciousness suddenly returned to his body. The two disciples saw the anxious expression on their master's face. They quickly asked the master what he had seen. Daoist Master Xingqiu told them that there was a beastification special power user on the other side, who not only knew how to pass through the grassland, but also killed all 5 people Daoist Master sent out. And the task deadline is approaching. If they don't leave soon, they will be forever trapped in the forest. As soon as he finished speaking, someone decided to stay. Turns out the man and the few people who had just died were childhood friends. He vowed for revenge as he touched the blade. The next moment, he turned into a special product from the abyss. He also resolved the embarrassing situation of Smoke Man's torn clothes. Smoke Man threw the special product to Brother Kun while telling him about the intercepted intelligence. Afterwards, they arrived by the side of an injured worker. He immediately recognized the poison arrow among the men, then decided to abandon him. However, his fellow worker beside him disagreed. No matter how the injured man tried to persuade him, he insisted on staying by his side. Seeing this, Smoke Man lit a cigarette for the injured man to say their goodbyes, and quickly urged Brother Kun to depart. In the blink of an eye, the two of them disappeared at the end of the grassland. The female ghost protected me. Vines sprouted from my arm. she faced thousands of xenomorphs, crushed their offspring. This angered them, and they went on a rampage, rushing madly towards the rooftop. And the female ghost actually left me alone to take the blame. But she hid herself inside my body, facing her irresponsible behavior like this. After I escape, I will send her to fans who give likes. At this moment, the xenomorph is close at hand. My head exploded all of a sudden. I could only hold a small knife tightly. Without any suspense, I was hit and sent flying dozens of meters. Fortunately, I practiced basketball for 2.5 years. Although I successfully dodged the fatal attack, I couldn't change my fate of turning into a special product from the abyss. At this moment, the bodies of the xenomorphs began to disintegrate. In the blink of an eye, they turned into powder and disappeared, leaving me alone on the rooftop in a daze. Little did I know that it was all the doing of the evil woman. She had just arrived at the research institute when she discovered that all the xenomorphs were rampaging. This directly caused her to be unable to complete the mission to pass through the abyss as instructed. So she followed the xenomorph all the way. She actually found out that they were coming towards me. She originally had no expectations for me. But then she saw me confront the monster head-on. In an instant, she thought I was quite impressive. So she decided to step in to help. She chopped open the door of the electrical room with one axe swing, forcefully shutting off the circuit breaker. The next second, the power in the entire research institute was restored. She couldn't help but feel nervous about her bold actions. She spent a lot of points previously. She understands why there are all sorts of strange creatures on the island. That's all caused by the research on the ancient artifact Black Tortoise Jade back then. The research equipment is now operational again, as the Black Tortoise Jade emits a dazzling light. Time and space are once again distorted by the power of Black Tortoise Jade. The torn sky pulls all xenomorphs into another dimension. The villainess used the rules of triggering hidden quests to save me. But this exposes everyone to greater danger. Meanwhile, Xiao Yu and Smoke Man on the grassland were stunned by the scene before them. Countless mosquitoes disappeared. They quickly took out their phones and used their hard-earned points to unlock the current hint. Seeing the hint, their heads exploded in a bang. Someone recklessly activated the SSS-level hidden mission.